My name is Deanna Renee. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. I'm currently reside in BedStuy BK, and we are here at the V Bar. We were discussing the change, the gentrification of Dallas, Texas. Back in Texas, I mean, though it's not kind of coming to light. There's always been a lot of aggressive gentrification. You know, of course, mainly directed toward people of color, and you know, not even generally black people. You know, that down there you have the Mexicans, which they treat just as horrible. They, you know, quarantine both cultures in one area, while you know, I guess other cultures, you know, kind of thrive in the areas where the blacks and the Mexicans used to reside. And back in Texas, like you were able, you know, this is before my time, of course, so probably before, you know, my parents even moved there. You were able to grow a business, build your own house, sometimes build your house by hand on these beautiful, you know, acre properties. Back then, once, you know, you were a free man, you know, you were able to build businesses and able to start your own farms and your own resources. It's, well, I guess well, we all know kind of how historically that goes on. You know, so, but it would come to a point that, you know, they would start attacking these elders of these homes, these older homeowners that lived by themselves in these gorgeous ranch houses. It's basically like a long stretch of home, one story property, L-shaped houses, which basically you have, which is basically the ranch style, which is really long, and then like all the bedrooms would be sectioned off into one area in larger forms.
Now, when you say attack, what do you mean?
Well, you know, there's always a turnover. There's property turnovers once every 20 years. You know, at the beginning of a decade or a specific generation, I guess, for real. That's when everybody's, you know, building families, having children, and you know, from that point through the 18 to 20 years, you know, your children grow up in that neighborhood, they grow up together, and you know, they move out, you know, begin their own lives. You know, we do tend to forget that when we get older, our parents get older too. So with that being said, after that 20-year, you know, turnover, so some people will sell their homes already. Some people will decide to stay. They've already, you know, paid on their property taxes. They've already owned this home. They've already paid off their mortgage. So this home is theirs. In order to acquire this property, you have to buy the owner, the lease owner, the property owner, the owner in general, from this house or this property, either to take over and rebuild the house or to tear down the property entirely. Most of the time, they just tear down the property entirely and build up these, kind of like here in Brooklyn, these really expensive condos in areas that had these strong, you know, people of color homes.
Now, talk to me for a minute about where we are and what you were talking about earlier in terms of zoning.
Well, I mean, yeah, we've kind of all seen it, and I can't say that I've experienced Brooklyn for 10 years, you know, like most Brooklynites. I've actually been only living here for about three years in February myself.
Where's the site of this place right here?
Right now we're on Franklin and Fulton. And for people who know about Brooklyn, Fulton is basically our
hub.
Our hub.
Yeah.
It is the hub of like Fulton, Flatbush, Church Avenue. These are hub streets. You know, the streets where, like, you know, you can walk down the street, see at least 10 people you know, or people that you work with, or you may even work on this block yourself. And so, basically, we've kind of identified that, like, you know, given the beauty of the area and the culture, it's going to attract realtors and developers and architects, people who want to attempt to beautify the area, an area that is already culturally beautiful with its own people, and and ironically, building these areas and tearing down and rezoning these areas and removing the people of culture that made it culturally diverse in the first place. So it's not like you wanna build on this culture, but by exterminating culture in general, it's not gonna do it. But it's kind of like as with most European kind of history with a lot of rezoning and gentrification and even kind of back to property ownership of our homelands. They love the culture but don't love us in it, and it's unfortunate because this restaurant is black owned and black operated. This is a vegan bar where we serve smoothies, vegetable and fruit smoothies. We serve really healthy, animal, no animal byproduct, no preservatives, just pure unadulterated healthiness.
Give me your address.
We are on 515 Franklin Avenue.
And what are your hours Monday through Sunday?
Monday to Sunday we open approximately about noon and we close at 7.
And what's on your menu today? Today's Tuesday.
Today's Tuesday. We have rice and beans, a mixed squash delight, greens and green beans. And what I love about the greens is that we have given with what we were having to eat, as slaves, it was full of fat back, full of just pieces of animal parts to just strengthen the flavor and an already flavorful vegetable. You can bring out these natural flavors in all these vegetables. You just have to really know how to tend to them, cook them, and just spice them up, easily, And it's like a personal goal, I think, of the owners to really expand on knowledge and nutrition of the African diaspora community. You can't even really say African Americans. Us as an African diasporan people have health complications in general. So one of the ways that we can fight back is to kind of do it individually within ourselves. Take it on within ourselves and educate others. You may not be able to do it to a crowd of people. It may just take individuals and stuff. And this is like I said before, Franklin and Fulton, and you see all these for sale signs, for rent signs, boarded up bodegas. It's already starting. So within 5 years, we may not even be able to recognize Fulton or Flatbush or Church Avenue. What I appreciate is the elders of the Brooklyn community, though. So seriously, because they've seen it change. They've seen it through the crack era. They've seen it through.
That's right.
Through the different fires and riots that have gone on here, from being people of color kind of fed up with the struggle, or just fed up with how things are, or just general conflicting issues. They've seen the heaviest gang epidemics. They've seen the murders and the bloodshed, but they love this borough. This is their home, and so it's just interesting, watching it change into what it's going to change in, because people who are moving into it don't even understand what they're moving into, or what was there before them, or what will be there after them. You really can't take away this borough's heart. That's why I love being here. When I was telling Ms. Zola before, is that back in Texas, they've been gentrifying the neighborhoods for 20 years already. Like I was blessed to have two parents who were both spiritually like who built the spiritual foundation for me to understand and differentiate my neighborhood and my areas, and the community of color that I live in. And they've owned their home for 25 years. And I've even asked my mother, jokingly, like, when I get famous, when I make a bunch of money, you want me to move you to a big, grand, beautiful, villa in such and such gated area? No, stay in here. Like, no, you sure you don't want to, beautiful? No, stay in here. They want us to move. They want us to abandon our own area so they can say that we did it to ourselves.
Now tell me very quickly, exactly where are your people from in Texas? What's your community? What's your block?
I live on Indian Ridge, which is in a street that's in the area of Oak Cliff. Oak Cliff is actually, it's funny because it's South Dallas, Southwest Dallas, and anytime you tack on south to a city, you automatically know that we're talking masses of people of color.
That's right.
We're talking gang violence. We're talking urban inner city schools with really low test scores and graduation rates, and but really high dropouts and pregnancies.
Yes.
And
let's roll it down. Let's talk about it. South Bronx.
Yeah.
South side of Chicago.
Right, my mother's from the south side of Chicago. Like,
Soweto, Southwest Township.
Right, South Africa.
Yes.
When we talk about these areas of the South, that's basically just saying that, maybe, but not even maybe, because I'm trying to be politically correct right now, but we've been pushed down the South. We've been pushed down to this area. We've pushed you all. We want this so much that we're going to give you all this space. You still have space. It's still your space. But I hope you're not thinking about coming up here, because we've already built, since you've been gone, we've made it look so much nicer, so much safer and quieter, and there's less of you. Why wouldn't we want to be in that area too, I wonder? But that's another part of that I have to get into later. But in South Dallas, you've gotten some of the most talented people come out of that area. You have Erykah Badu, Roy Hargrove, Nora Jones, South Dallas, and then myself. And it's, I can't stress enough how I appreciate my parents, though we were in an area that, after dark, my dad didn't want me to go outside. Like barely during the daytime. It was like you were chemically prone to just being a statistic. It was like you couldn't help but to be you spoke improperly, or you weren't motivated, and like I go back home, and they always they want to give me props because I made it out. But I'm still from there though. There's still possibilities. I appreciate that they're seeing me as an example, but I would love them to be their own example.
Right.
'Cause I'm still young and I'm still learning, and I can easily go back there. Because decisions and choices, decisions and choices can always be made that, like, the path that you're taking can get rough easily.
I hear you.
So, it's this consistent and persistentness.
Right.
That, it's just a blessing from God. And they've continued to remove these elders from their homes and putting them into nursing homes, which is unfortunate because these nursing homes, which is a lot in Dallas, in general, no matter how nice they seem, it's still not their homes. It's basically a daycare of death, and they're not happy. And how can you, back in Africa, they don't kick out their elders. They don't. They keep them in their homes, and they teach the grandchildren and the great grandchildren, and continuing. I don't think this ism, but like griotism. Being able to pass down these stories of our strong culture.
That's right.
Well, how would we do that if we remove our water bearers from, just, oh man, this is a conversation I was having to a friend of mine, because we've lost that cultural strength, and we're trying to be ignorant to knowing why, or we're removing the ancestors that are living right now.
That's right.
Yeah. And it's like, how are we gonna learn what we are to be if we're all kind of just aimlessly floating about? Our elders, we don't go speak to them. We don't visit them. We don't keep up their memories.
Yes.
We get so self-consumed and involved, especially the younger generation. I can't even take myself out of that category. And and I'm trying to grow my strength of being more appreciative of my elders. I lost both of my grandfathers, and without those gentlemen, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
Without our elders, none of us will be here.
That's right.
None of us will have this cultural foundation, this strength, this pride. We have to get it from somewhere.
Right.
Well,
I'm sorry to cut you off. Thank you so much for talking to me. I gotta go to work now.
No, I'm sorry. And
this was such a blessing. Thank you so much for sitting down and allowing me to hear your story and to share your story. And this is history. Things are changing, and people need to understand different perspectives of how people are being impacted by these changes that are happening. Thank you, sis. Give me your name again.
Deanna. Well, my full name is Deanna Renee Johnson Stovall.
And where are we again?
We are on Fulton and Franklin, and the Clinton Hill, BedStuy, Porter, and Brooklyn. I'm still debating on where we are. I can call it BedStuy all around. But everybody in the area knows me as D. Renee. I'm an artist, a curator, a musician, an artist, a musician's manager, an artist manager, and a representation of my cultural foundation.
Thank you, sis.
Thank you.